Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Caden Kubler and welcome to Caden's Corner. We're doing it again. Like we do every single year, everybody's sleeping on Jimmy Butler in the Miami Heat in this Eastern Conference, and they're ready to dominate. This is a yearly phenomenon at this point with Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat consistently being disrespected by the national media and NBA fans. But they're ready to do the exact same thing that they did last year, and nobody's talking about it. They made this improbable run all the way to the NBA Finals. They were barely above 500 in the regular season. They had to play in the play-in game, lost the first one, won the second one, played the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round, beat them in an absolutely electric series, and Jimmy Butler quickly woke everybody up in the Eastern Conference. They then went on to beat the New York Knicks in the second round and then played the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, almost gave up that 3-0 lead, but ultimately won in Game 7, losing to Denver in the NBA Finals. And I think they're on a collision course to replicate something very similar this season. The national media is writing off Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat, claiming that they can't do it again, and I completely disagree. Right now, the Miami Heat are 39-32, and they're currently in the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. At the exact same time last year, they were 38-33. Everybody was hitting that panic button last year like they're doing right now, and people are claiming that they can't do it again, but I don't see why not. They have way more of an offensive identity than they did last year. When you look at this run that they made, they didn't even have Tyler Hero, who was their second best scorer throughout the regular season. The Miami Heat are healthier than they were last year. They have way more of an offensive punch than they did last year with Terry Rozier and Tyler Hero. When you look at the Denver series last year, the Miami Heat ultimately came short because they didn't have enough offensive firepower when Jimmy Butler kind of faded. Caleb Martin didn't have his best series after going absolutely bananas in the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's not forget the Miami Heat made this mid-season addition, adding Terry Rozier at the trade deadline, who's a great offensive punch for this team. When you look at the Miami Heat from last year to this year, I believe they have way more of an offensive punch than they did last season. And at the end of the day, if a healthy Tyler Hero and a newly added Terry Rozier doesn't move the needle for you, how about Jimmy Butler? This dude has been undeniable in the postseason. He's one of the best postseason performers we've seen in the last decade. Jimmy Butler is a giant slayer. When you look around the Eastern Conference, who are you really confident in besides the Boston Celtics? The Milwaukee Bucks have been up and down all year long and are trying to figure out their defensive identity right now. The Cavaliers have been playing great right now. They have one of the best defenses in the NBA, but do you trust Donovan Mitchell, who's not been great in the postseason, over Jimmy Butler? I personally don't. The Knicks have looked good since the OG Anunoby move, but they've been banged up with Julius Randle out. I think if they could get healthy, I would still take the Miami Heat over them. The Orlando Magic have been shooting up in the standings, but with their youth and inexperience, I'm not taking them in a series over Jimmy Butler. The 76ers don't have Joel Embiid, and the Indiana Pacers can't stop a nosebleed on the defensive end. That leaves Jimmy Butler coming out of this play-in game, and it's absolutely terrifying. The Boston Celtics are sitting pretty at this #1 seed, but at the end of the day, if you're a Celtics fan, you have to be a little bit nervous about Jimmy Butler, a guy who's had Jason Tatum's number in the past. Eric Spoelstra has always done an amazing job of defensively playing Tatum and Brown. In the bubble in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Miami Heat defeated the Celtics. 2 years ago in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Celtics and Heat had an epic 7-game series that the Celtics ultimately won. And then last year, another amazing 7-game series that the Heat won. These two teams have always had amazing series in the playoffs, and I think we're destined to see another matchup between the two. The Heat right now are currently in the 7th seed. They have the second easiest strength of schedule, and they're only a half game out of that #6 seed to avoid the play-in. If they can lock in for these last few weeks, I believe they'll make it out of the play-in game, and then it's time for us to see playoff Jimmy. I'm gonna call my shot right now because nobody is talking about the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference, and it's ridiculous to me. I think the Heat will make the Eastern Conference Finals, and they're going to give the Celtics a real run for their money. Stop sleeping on playoff Jimmy in this Miami Heat team. I'm Caden Kubler, and that's my take.